Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a massive, high-stakes puzzle. Getting life-saving medications into the hands of the people who actually need them, especially in rapidly emerging healthcare markets like Vietnam, is rarely a straight line. Actually, it's a highly complex, often incredibly fragmented journey. So we're going to unpack a brilliant model that tackles this chaos head-on. As you'll see, we'll discover exactly how a completely fractured system can be unified into a single, highly efficient pathway for growth.
Which brings us to the core question of today's explainer. How do complex pharmaceutical ecosystems actually connect the lab to the patient? I mean, think about global healthcare supply chains for a second. Historically, they're heavily fragmented. You've got one company that manufactures, another totally separate entity handling legal compliance, a third doing the research, a fourth driving the trucks, and a fifth just trying to sell the whole shebang. And here's the terrifying reality. Every single time a product changes hands, there's a risk. We're talking risks of critical delays, miscommunications, or drastically increased costs. The stakes are literally life and death. So how do you actually solve that dangerous fragmentation?
Well, Nam-on's solution illustrates one incredibly powerful answer to that exact question. They don't just position themselves as another participant in the market, they act as a literal physical bridge across Vietnam's pharmaceutical ecosystem. Picture this landscape. On the left side of a massive gap, you have the industrial manufacturing and the specialized labs. On the right side, you've got the hospitals, local clinics, and dense urban centers where the patients actually are. That empty space in between, that represents the dangerous fragmentation we just talked about. Nam-on forms the structural bridge right over that gap, connecting the creation of the medicine directly to the people whose lives depend on it.
Now, a bridge like that isn't just floating in midair, right? It's supported by 5 distinct foundational pillars. To fully navigate the life cycle journey of a pharma product, the system requires a seamless flow. The journey kicks off with manufacturing capacity, moves right through regulatory expertise and clinical research, and finally hits the patient via robust distribution networks and commercial execution. Each one of these steps is absolutely non-negotiable. If you skip even one, a drug simply can't move from a raw scientific concept to a successful, life-saving reality.
Okay, let's dive into this, starting with the first pillar, manufacturing capacity. Before a drug can be marketed or transported anywhere, it has to be physically created. This is the absolute bedrock of the entire ecosystem. We're talking about massive factories, highly specialized cleanroom machinery, and the advanced technical capabilities needed to physically churn out pharmaceutical products at scale. And they have to do it safely and consistently, batch after batch. It's the ultimate starting line of the entire journey.
But let me ask you this. How does a newly manufactured drug actually navigate the absolute labyrinth of local laws? You can have the most advanced manufacturing facility on the planet, but without the legal green light, those vital medicines aren't leaving the warehouse, period. That is where the second pillar, regulatory expertise, becomes absolutely critical. This is the highly specialized knowledge required to understand complex local regulations, especially in a fast-growing dynamic market like Vietnam. It's all about ensuring absolute compliance, submitting the exact right paperwork, and securing those vital approvals from health authorities.
When these first two elements interact, we see something truly powerful. At the foundation of this bridge, manufacturing capacity and regulatory expertise have to be locked together. And why is this pairing so exceptionally valuable? Well, traditionally, foreign manufacturers often try to enter new, complex markets completely blind to the local regulatory landscape. It's a classic misstep that leads to agonizing delays, denied applications, and massive financial losses. By pairing physical production capabilities with deep, localized legal compliance right out of the gate, this model naturally removes the friction. It guarantees that the millions of dollars invested in building a product actually result in something legally allowed to be sold.
With the legal hurdles cleared, the system dynamically transitions into the realm of undeniable scientific proof. This brings us to the third pillar, clinical and BE research. BE just stands for bioequivalence, by the way. It's not enough to just manufacture a drug legally. You have to scientifically, irrefutably prove that it's safe, that it actually works in the human body, and that it's clinically efficacious for the patient. In a healthcare market where absolute trust is everything, this research pillar acts as the central keystone of the entire bridge. It firmly holds the scientific integrity of the product up to the highest possible global standards.
Right at this exact point, the entire ecosystem fundamentally pivots. We move away from the scientific creation half of the bridge, which encompasses the manufacturing, the regulatory compliance, and that clinical research, because let's face it, having a legally approved, scientifically proven product just sitting safely in a factory does absolutely no one any good. So the platform seamlessly shifts into the second half of the equation.
Market logistics. This entirely new phase encompasses distribution networks and commercial execution. It's a complete shift in focus and expertise, pivoting away from the careful creation of the drug to the aggressive, strategic movement and selling of that drug.
But getting these drugs out of the lab and into the real world requires navigating Vietnam's incredibly diverse geography. You're dealing with everything from ultra-dense, bustling cities to incredibly remote, mountainous rural areas. Managing the complex physical movement of pharmaceutical products across that challenging landscape requires massive, highly comprehensive logistical systems. That's where distribution networks come in, providing secure transport channels. We're talking fleets of climate-controlled trucks and hyper-secure warehouses that ensure a highly sensitive medical product moves perfectly from the production line to local healthcare facilities without ever dropping in quality.
Okay, so the product might have safely arrived at the local hospital or pharmacy, but the journey isn't truly over until it successfully reaches the end consumer. This is where commercial execution steps in. This final pillar covers the strategic actions on the ground. It's the targeted marketing campaigns, the specialized medical representatives having deep conversations with doctors, and the relentless sales efforts required to ensure the right products successfully meet actual market demand. It really represents the crucial final handshake between this vast pharmaceutical ecosystem and the individual patient seeking care.
Just as the first two pillars form the bedrock of creation, these final two pillars, distribution networks and commercial execution, have to operate like perfectly meshed gears to drive market delivery. They work in absolute tandem. Think about it. The commercial marketing team is out there creating demand, educating healthcare providers on a new treatment. Simultaneously, the distribution network ensures the physical supply is precisely where it needs to be to meet that exact surge in demand. If one gear slips, the whole system fails. But together, they seamlessly finalize the drug's journey from the supply chain right into the patient's hands.
So when we step back and look at the complete ecosystem, the sheer power of this model really comes into focus. All 5 of those highly specialized pillars we just explored, manufacturing, regulatory, clinical research, distribution, and commercial execution, act together as a single unified bridge. Those fragmented gaps of traditional supply chains, those dangerous spaces where products get delayed, budgets explode, or communications completely fail, they're entirely covered. They're bridged by a central operational crest that holds these 5 disparate capabilities together in perfect alignment. Which leads us to the ultimate value proposition, the real aha moment of this entire strategy, functioning as one integrated platform for growth. By combining all 5 of those incredibly complex, highly specialized pillars under one roof, Nam Solution creates a singular, unstoppable engine for expansion in Vietnam. Imagine you're a pharmaceutical company looking to enter or grow in this rapid market. You no longer have to vet, hire, and manage 5 completely different contractors who probably don't even talk to each other. Instead, you plug into one integrated platform. This drastically accelerates speed to market, slashes overhead costs, and radically reduces the risk of failure. It's a total game changer.
This leaves us with a really critical question to consider as we wrap up today's explainer. When you look at the incredible efficiency and safety of this cohesive model, it kind of forces us to ask, are integrated platforms the only viable future for emerging pharmaceutical markets? As global healthcare supply chains become increasingly complex and the demand for rapid, safe delivery grows by the day, will the old, fragmented way of doing business simply become obsolete? It's a fascinating thought to take with you, and one that could easily dictate the future of global healthcare. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep asking the big questions.